Hey everyone, and welcome to Skein. Today we are kicking off our Christmas series with a 3-in-1 pattern. So that means you can make either a Christmas tree plush, a snow globe plush, or you can make one of each, pop them together and make a reversible Christmas tree / snow globe. No matter which one you want to make, I'm going to explain all the steps in the pattern, so we'll get to that in a moment. But just before we do that, I wanted to go over a couple of things. Firstly, for the plushes that I've made, the Christmas tree and the snow globe version, I've used eye patterns that aren't included in this video. The reason for that is they are eye patterns from other videos. The Christmas tree eyes are from my wind spinner jellyfish, and the snow globe eyes are from my egg laying pterodactyl. So if you would like to make the plush version and you would like those eyes, I will link those videos down in the description so you can go to those and make those eyes for those plushies. And the second thing I wanted to cover is, in this video we're going to be using a 3.5mm hook. However, this pattern can really be made with any yarn weight and hook size. You just want to match your hook to your yarn. And I think that was it. Yep, I'm pretty sure that's it. So grab your hooks and let's get started. To make this pattern, you're going to need a 3.5mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, a needle, pins, stuffing, 8-ply yarn in colours of your choice, as well as anything you would like to decorate your pieces with. Also keep in mind that this pattern can be made with any yarn weight and hook size, so if you'd like to change up the size, you absolutely can. We're going to start today by making the snow globe, and for that you are going to need to grab your 3.5mm hook and some 8-ply yarn in 3 colours. You're going to need a colour for the globe, a colour for the base, and some colour for the trim. So I'm going to be using light blue for the globe part, and we're going to start with that. And round 1 is just 6 single crochet in a magic circle. Round 2 is 6 increases, and an increase is just 2 single crochet in the same stitch. Round 3 is 1 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 6 times. We're going to begin round 4 by doing 1 single crochet, 1, and then in the next stitch we're going to do an increase, 1 and 2 in the same stitch. Then we're going to repeat 2 single crochet, 1 increase 5 times. When you've done that 5th increase, there should be 1 stitch left in your round, and we're just going to single crochet into that. Round 5 is 3 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 6 times. Round 6 starts with 2 single crochet, and then we're going to follow this up with 1 increase, and then repeat 4 single crochet, 1 increase 5 times, and finish off the round with 2 single crochet. Round 7 is 5 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 6 times. Round 8 begins with 3 single crochet, and we're going to follow that up with an increase, and then we're going to repeat 6 single crochet, 1 increase 5 times, and then we're going to finish off with 3 single crochet. Round 9 is 7 single crochet and an increase repeated 6 times. For round 10, start with 4 single crochet and do an increase after that, and then we're going to repeat 8 single crochet, 1 increase 5 times, and finish off the round with 4 more single crochet. Round 11 is going to be 9 single crochet and an increase repeated 6 times. Once you've finished round 11, you should have 66 stitches in your round, and then rounds 12 all the way through to 22 are going to be 66 single crochet each. Round 4 is 12 single crochet. Round 24 is 8 single crochet, 1 decrease repeated 6 times. Round 25 is 7 single crochet and a decrease repeated 6 times. Round 26 is 6 single crochet and a decrease repeated 6 times. At the end of round 26, you should have 42 stitches in your round, and then round 27 is just going to be 42 single crochet. I've just finished single crochet number 41. I haven't done number 42 yet, our final one, because we're going to be changing color. To do that, you're going to go into the 42nd stitch, yarn over and pull through, so you have 2 loops on your hook, and then you're going to bring in whichever color yarn that you're going to use for the base of your snow globe. So for me, that's going to be this red. You're going to line up that yarn behind your hook. You're going to yarn over in that color and then pull through the 2 loops on your hook. And that's how we're changing color for round 28. And I'm just going to get rid of this end. If you would like to, you can weave these ends in to hide them, but I'm going to work over them to secure them instead. And round 28 is worked in the front loop only. So if you'll remember from when we did our decrease, the front loop is the part of the stitch that's closest to us. And for round 28, we're going to do 13 single crochet, 1 increase 3 times, again in the front loop only. Round 29 is going to be worked in both loops again, and we're going to do 14 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 3 times. Round 30 is 15 single crochet and an increase repeated 3 times. Round 31 is 16 single crochet, 1 increase, repeated 3 times. Round 32 is 17 single crochet, 1 increase, repeated 3 times. Round 33 is 18 single crochet, 1 increase, repeated 3 times. After round 33, there should now be 60 stitches in your round, and then round 34 is just going to be 60 single crochet. Round 35 is going to be worked in the back loop only, and that is the part of the stitch that's furthest away from us, this part here. We're going to do 8 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeated 6 times. When we did the invisible decrease previously in our rounds here, we used the front loop only. You're going to do that for the following rounds, so rounds 36 and 37, but because round 35 is worked entirely into the back loops, when you do your invisible decreases, you're going to do them in the same way, except instead of using the front loop, you're going to use the back loop this time. For round 36, we're going back to working in both loops, and we're going to do 7 single crochet, 1 decrease, 6 times. Round 37 is 6 single crochet and a decrease, repeated 6 times. When you finish round 37, you have 2 options. You can either make the reversible snow globe Christmas tree, or you can just make the snow globe plush. If you would like to make the snow globe plush, you're going to continue decreasing, stop, add some stuffing, and then finish off your piece. And I'm going to put the pattern for that down in the description or in the pinned comment, one of those. But basically all you'll be doing is decreasing by 6 until you reach the final round of 6 single crochet. But yeah, the pattern will be down there anyway. But if you want to make the reversible Christmas piece, well, we're going to be stopping here. So what you will need to do is cut a tail. You're going to need to sew your 2 pieces together, the Christmas tree and the snow globe, and you can do that by either leaving a long tail on the snow globe, or you can leave a long tail on the Christmas tree. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to be leaving a longer tail on my Christmas tree, so I'm going to cut a short tail for the snow globe. But if you would prefer to do it the other way, you're going to need a long tail here for the snow globe. So I'm just going to pull up with my hook. And before we go on to the assembly stage, what we are going to do is add a little bit of trim to our snow globe. So for that, you're going to need another color of yarn. And I'm going to be using green. What you want to do is start at the base here, and you're going to insert your hook into these back loops, one of the back loops. It doesn't really matter which one. But I'm just going to insert it into the last one so I can keep my ends in line. You're going to bring in whatever color you're using, yarn over and pull through, and then we're just going to slip stitch to join. When you do this, you also want to make sure that you're crocheting in the same direction that you crocheted the entire piece in. And we're going to start off by doing 1 single crochet into the same stitch that we just slip stitched into. 1. And after that, we're just going to continue single crocheting in the back loops all the way around. I'm also going to be single crocheting over this tail end. When you've single crocheted into all the back loops, we're just going to slip stitch in the original one that we did and cut a tail that we can weave in later. And then I'm going to add the trim to this section here where we've done our color change round. I'm going to insert my hook into that round, or rather the space between those two rounds. I'm going to bring in my green yarn again, line that up, yarn over and pull through, and then I'm going to slip stitch. For this top piece of trim, I'm going to slip stitch all the way around and not use a single crochet like I did here, because they sit flatter against the piece. But if you prefer to use single crochet, you can do that. It is up to you. And I'm just going to continue slip stitching all the way around. We're just going to slip stitch to finish off here as well. And then with that finished, we're going to go on and crochet the Christmas tree. For the tree, I'm going to be using this green sparkly yarn, and I'm again using my 3.5mm hook, and we're going to begin round 1 by putting 6 single crochet in a magic circle. Round 2 is just 6 single crochet, and that just means we're putting 1 single crochet in each stitch from round 1. Round 3 is 6 increases, and an increase is just 2 single crochet in the same stitch. Round 4 is 12 single crochet. Round 5 is 1 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 6 times. Round 6 is 18 single crochet. We're going to start round 7 off with 1 single crochet, and then I'm going to pop my stitch marker back in there, and then the next stitch is going to be an increase. 1 and 2, and after that we're going to repeat 2 single crochet, 1 increase 5 times. And increase. Once you've done that 5th increase, you should have 1 stitch left in your round, and we're just going to pop a single crochet into that. Round 8 is just going to be 24 single crochet. Round 9 is 3 single crochet and an increase repeated 6 times. Round 10 is just 30 single crochet. Round 11 starts with 2 single crochet, and then after that we're going to do 1 increase, and then repeat 4 single crochet, 1 increase 5 times, and we're just going to finish off the round with 2 single crochet. For round 12, we're going to be working in the front loop only. The front loop is the part of the stitch that's closest to us, so if you think of each of your individual stitches as a little V shape, so bring this up here so we can see, focus up. So each stitch looks like a little V shape. The front loop is this part here, so the one that's closest to us. We're going to be working into that for the entirety of round 12. And after round 11, we should have had 36 stitches in our round, and round 12 is going to be 36 stitches in the front loop only. Round 13 is going to be 5 single crochet or 1 increase done 6 times. But before we do that, just make sure that you've done round 12 correctly. If you've done it correctly, you should end up with this ring that's created by the back loops that we didn't work into. And you're going to need that a little bit later in this pattern because we're going to be working into those back loops. So if you don't have that ring visible, if you've accidentally worked into both loops, you're going to have to frog or take out round 12 and redo it in the front loops only. If you do have that ring, we can continue on to round 13, which, as I said before, is 5 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 6 times. Round 14 is going to be 42 single crochet all the way around. Now this tree pattern is sort of broken up into 3 sections. We've just completed the first section with round 14, so what we're going to do is slip stitch to finish off. And then you want to cut a short tail. This tail just needs to be long enough that you can weave it in later on to hide it. So we're not going to be doing any sewing with it, so we just need a short tail. And then we can go on to start section 2, which is going to start with round 15. And we're going to work this into the ring of back loops left over from round 12. So what you want to do is grab your hook and insert it into one of the back loops. Now it doesn't really matter which back loop you choose because the piece is circular, so there's not going to be any shaping involved. But what I like to do is just line up my ends anyway, so all my ends are going to be in the same section roughly. Once you've inserted your hook, you're going to grab your green yarn again, or if you'd like to change colors, you can do that as well. But then you're going to take the end of that yarn, line it up behind your hook, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through. And then we're going to do a slip stitch to join. This slip stitch isn't going to be counting as a stitch in our round, so we're going to start off round 15 by doing 1 single crochet into the same stitch that we just slip stitched into. And that's where I'm going to put my stitch marker. Round 15 is going to be worked in those back loops, and we're going to do 5 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 6 times. I'm also going to be working over this end that's left, so I don't have to worry about weaving that in later. But if you would prefer, you can do it that way, just leave it and then come back and weave it in later on. In the first section of the tree, what we did was put a round of single crochet in between every increase round. What we're going to be doing in section 2 is placing 2 rounds of single crochet in between every increase round. So we've just done our first increase round. We did the 5 single crochet, 1 increase repeated, and that means rounds 16 and 17 are each going to be 42 single crochet, so no increasing. Round 18 is 3 single crochet and an increase, and then we're going to repeat 6 single crochet, 1 increase 5 times, and finish off the round with 3 more single crochet. Both rounds 19 and 20 are 48 single crochet. Round 21 is 7 single crochet and an increase repeated 6 times. Both rounds 22 and 23 are each 54 single crochet. Round 24 begins with 4 single crochet followed by an increase, and then we're going to repeat 8 single crochet, 1 increase 5 times, and finish off with another 4 single crochet. The next 2 rounds, rounds 25 and 26, are each going to be 60 single crochet, but round 25 we're going to work in both loops, whereas round 26 we're going to work in the front loop only. We're going to start off with round 25. Again, that's 60 single crochet worked in both loops. Round 26 is also 60 crochet, but this time we're working in the front loop only. And if you'll remember from the first part we did, the front loop only is the section of the stitch that's closest to us. For round 27, we're back to working in both loops again. And just like before, when you finish round 26, make sure you have that ring of back loops visible, because we're going to need that in a moment to start section 3 of the tree. But for now, we're going to continue with round 27, which is 9 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 6 times. Round 28 is going to be the final section of the second part, and we're just going to do 66 single crochet. We're going to finish off round 28 like we've done previously, just slip stitch and leave a short tail that we can weave in. To start off round 29, we're just going to fold back this section of our second part, and we're going to be using the back loops here. Like we did the first time, we're just going to insert our hook into one of the back loops. Doesn't really matter which one, but again, I'm going to keep my ends in line. Grab your yarn, line it up behind your hook, yarn over and pull through, and then join with a slip stitch. We're going to start off round 29 with a single crochet, which is going to go into the same stitch as our slip stitch did, because our slip stitch doesn't count as a stitch in the round. And I'm just going to pop my stitch marker into there. For section 3 of the tree, what we're going to be doing is doing an increase round and then 3 rounds of single crochet between those. However, with the previous 2 rounds, we increased 6 times in every increase round we did. With this third section, we're only going to be increasing 3 times. So round 29, which we're working in the back loops here, is going to be 19 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 3 times. At the end of round 29, you should have 63 stitches in your round, and then rounds 30, 31 and 32 are each going to be 63 single crochet. Round 33 is 20 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 3 times. Rounds 34 through to 36 are going to be 66 single crochet each. Round 37 is 21 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 3 times. The next 3 rounds, rounds 38, 39 and 40, are each going to be 69 single crochet. However, round 40 is where we're going to be working in the front loop only. So rounds 38 and 39, we're just going to do 69 single crochet using both loops. Round 40 is also going to be 69 single crochet, but this time we're working in the front loop only. And that is the part of the stitch that's closest to us. Before we start round 41, just check that you have that ring of back loops. If you do, we're going to continue on in both loops. And round 41 is going to be 22 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 3 times. Round 42 is going to be the final round of part 3 of the tree, and that's just going to be 72 single crochet all the way around. We're going to finish off round 42 with a slip stitch, leave a tail, and then we're going to go on to part 4. We're on the home stretch now. This is the final part, and we're just going to insert our hook into the back loops from round 40. And where did my end go? Here it is. And we're going to join our yarn again like we've done previously. Yarn over, pull through, slip stitch, and then a single crochet into that same stitch. Stitch marker in. And then round 43 is going to be 22 single crochet, 1 increase done 3 times in the back loops from round 40. Rounds 44, 45 and 46 are each going to be 72 single crochet. We're going to begin decreasing in round 47, and our first round of decreases is going to be worked in the back loop only. So far we've only used the front loops, and this time we're using the back loops, which is the part of the stitch that's furthest away from us. So again, we've used the front loop before, now working back here in this part of the stitch. Round 47 is 10 single crochet and 1 decrease repeated 6 times. And we're going to start off with the 10 single crochet. And after the 10th single crochet, we're going to do an invisible decrease. Usually, when we do an invisible decrease, we use the front loops. So for the rest of the rounds, when it comes to decreases, that's what we're going to be using. But because in round 47, we're using the back loops only, our decrease is going to be done in the back loop. So taking your crochet hook, you're going to go into the back loop of the next 2 stitches. Into the back loop of the first one, then into the back loop of the second one. Yarn over and pull through both of those back loops. And at this point you should have 2 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over once more and then pull through both of those loops. And that's how you do an invisible decrease. When it comes to the next few rounds, you're going to do the same thing to decrease, except your decrease will be worked in the front loops only. So we're going to continue on with our 10 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeated 5 more times for 6 in total. Round 48 is 9 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeated 6 times. And remember, when it comes time to do your invisible decrease in this round and the rest of the rounds, we're using the front loop to decrease, not the back loop. We only used the back loop last round because we were working entirely into the back loops. Round 49 is 8 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeated 6 times. Round 50 is 7 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeated 6 times. Round 51, which is going to be our final round, is 6 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeated 6 times. Round 51 is the final round if you're making the reversible pattern, but if you'd like to just make the Christmas tree plush, what you're going to do is continue decreasing. The pattern for the rest of the decreases will be the same as the rest of the decreases for if you're making the snow globe plush, and I'll put that down in the description so you can follow that if you'd like to make the plush instead. If you're making the reversible pattern, all we're going to do is finish off with a slip stitch. And if you didn't leave a long tail on your snow globe for sewing, you're going to do that here. But if you did leave the long tail for your snow globe, you just need to cut a short tail that you can weave in later. Before we finish the tree, we've got one more step to go. And for that, we're just going to fold down these pieces so the right sides of the stitches are showing. And what we're going to do is to add some leaves. It's not going very well. Okay, that's a bit better. So what we're going to do is making sure that we're crocheting in the same direction that we crocheted the rounds, is we're going to insert our hooks into one of the stitches, and I'm going to insert mine at the end of each round, and we're going to join our yarn. And we're going to join the same way that we have previously for all of these parts. So line up your yarn over and pull through. Got a bit twisted there, and then just slip stitch. The pattern for creating the leaves is going to be 2 slip stitches followed by a picot stitch, and we're going to do this for each of the 3 little flaps that we have here. So we're going to do that for all of them. It remains the same. There's just obviously going to be more in the 2nd and 3rd flap because they're larger. So we've done the first single crochet. Unlike our other joins, this single crochet does count as a stitch in our round. So our next slip stitch is going to go into the next stitch of the round. So that's 2 single crochet. And you don't necessarily have to put in a stitch marker here, but I'm going to anyway. And after those 2 slip stitches, we're going to do a picot stitch. The picot stitch starts with a single crochet. So in our 3rd stitch, we're going to single crochet. And then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. After we've chained 3, we're going to work into the back bump of the first chain. Now the back bump is this little bit of yarn behind our stitches. So if you look at your stitches from front on, you should be able to see the V's of the stitches. So there's 1, 2, and 3. If you turn those V's over, there will be 3 little bumps behind each V. We're going to be working into this one down the bottom here, which is the back bump of our first chain. So you're going to go into that back bump, and we're going to single crochet into that as well. Oops, there we go. Single crochet. And then we're going to repeat that same pattern. So we've done our picot stitch here. In the next stitch, I'm going to slip stitch. Okay, we'll try that again. Slip stitch. Slip stitch again in the next stitch, so that's 2. And then in the stitch after that, we're going to single crochet to begin our picot stitch. So single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Single crochet into the back bump of the first chain. And repeat. 2 slip stitches. 2. picot stitch in the next stitch, single crochet, 1, 2, 3 chains, single crochet in the back bump of the first, and you're just going to repeat that pattern all the way around. Just slip stitch into the original slip stitch we made when we joined. And then we're going to cut a short tail that we can weave in. And then you're going to repeat this same process on the second and third flaps here. So you're going to join your yarn, do two slip stitches, 1 picot stitch all the way around, and then come back and do the third, and that will finish off our Christmas tree. And with that, our Christmas tree is finished, and we can go on to the assembly stage. Alrighty, now that we have both pieces crocheted, we're going to sew them together. But before we do that, there are a couple of extra steps. If you just made the plushie version, all you need to do to finish off is weave in any of your ends and then add some decoration and you're done. We're going to be doing the same thing for the reversible one. However, the process is a little bit different. You're going to need to grab your needle, because what we're going to be doing is weaving in all these ends. I'm going to start with the snow globe because there's fewer, so it'll be easier to see rather than this mess. And all we're going to do is take our ends. I'm just going to thread them through, and I'm just going to pass them straight back into my work so they emerge from the inside of the piece. There's one. And for this part, it might be easier for you to turn your work inside out, or at least partially inside out, because we're going to take our ends and then weave them in through the backs of the stitches. I'm just passing my needle behind the stitches, if I can get it under there. There we go. I took it out. It's in now. Okay, so what you want to do to double check that you're not going to see the ends from the outside is just flip your work back over and make sure that you can't see the needle. So that way, when I pull this green yarn through the back of the stitch here, it's not going to be seen through the front. And I'm just going to do that probably 5 or 6 times through the backs of my stitches here. And then once I've gone through a few stitches, what I like to do is on the last one, so that's this one here for me, I like to go back around and into it again, creating sort of a loop, and then pull that tight. And then I'm going to do the same thing, go through the backs of my stitches, but in the opposite direction. And I know this looks a bit messy, but I'm not trying to be neat because it's going to be hidden on the inside of my work, so nobody's going to see it. And then on my last stitch here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to loop back around and go through it again. Now at this point, you can cut your yarn, but if you'd like an additional bit of security, because sometimes when you're, I really don't like this sparkly yarn, I'm never using it again. Okay, for a bit of additional security, what you can do is take a second end from the outside, and we're just going to weave that in. Pass it back through my work. I'm going to weave this second end towards the end of the first one I did. That would be over here. And I'm just going to weave it through the backs of the stitches. And then on my last stitch, I'm going to loop back around again and go through the same stitch. And then I'm going to take these two ends and just tie them together. You don't necessarily have to do this, but if you're a little bit paranoid of any ends coming out as you're reversing your snow globe / Christmas tree back and forth, this is just like an additional layer of security. So I'm going to snip off those ends. And this end here from my trim, I already worked over that when I was doing my single crochet, so I'm just going to snip that straight off. And these two ends remaining, one is from the trim down the bottom, and I'm just going to weave that through the backs of these stitches. Now with my snow globe, I left a shorter end on this because I've left the longer end on the tree because I'll be sewing it on using this piece. If you did leave a long end on your snow globe, you're not going to weave that in because that's going to be your piece that you use for sewing. But if you did leave a short end like I did, we're going to need to weave this in too. And this piece, we're going to weave in like we did the first two, these two here. That means we're going to work through the backs of our stitches and then secure the end by doing a little loop in the last stitch of each row that we work through. With the snow globe ends taken care of, we're going to do the same thing for the Christmas tree. We're going to have to weave in all these ends from our leaves that we did. And just again, if you left a long tail here, don't weave that in, but if you left a short tail here and a long tail on the snow globe, you will need to weave this end in. When all your ends are weaved in, it's at this point that you can do any decorating that you want to. When it comes to the decorating, I would recommend you use either sewing or perhaps needle felting. In my testing, I found that both gluing things down and embroidery is very hit and miss. It doesn't work as well when you're continuously reversing your piece. It tends to come off more frequently. So it's up to you how you want to decorate those, but you're going to do that first. You can do that second if you want, but why I like to do it first is because we've still got the bottom open, so that makes sewing and things like that a little bit easier. If you're like me and you prefer sewing when you have a firmer piece, so like it's got stuffing in it, if you find that a little bit easier like I do, you can add some stuffing first. Add all your embellishments and details and then take that stuffing out because we don't need that much stuffing in our pieces when they're going to be reversible. So you can do that. I'm not going to be decorating these pieces just yet because I'm going to run out of time if I stop and do that. So what I'm going to do now is sew these two pieces together. The first step is to add a little bit of stuffing. For the Christmas tree, what I'm going to do is only add stuffing to approximately the first part. I'm going to fill up this section here. And this equates to probably roughly a handful, maybe two for me. So just add a little bit, and we can test this out first. So if you're not sure on the exact amount of stuffing, there will be a way to test this. Once you've done that, you're going to stuff the snow globe. And with the snow globe, it's a little bit harder to tell exactly how much to stuff it, but I tend to, let's get that in there, push my stuffing in and sort of stuff it roughly until the last increase round. So we've increased out and then we did all those rounds of just single crochet. I'm just going to stuff this top area here where all the increases are. And again, this is sort of roughly a handful of stuffing, but it's hard to say when we all have different hand sizes, I suppose. But there we go. What you can do now, if you want to, before you make any permanent changes like sewing these two pieces together, is to grab some stitch markers and pin the bottoms together. Each of our final rounds should have had 42 stitches in them. So we've got 42 here, 42 here, and we're going to sew those together. What you can do is pin pin those together using your slip stitches and see if your piece will reverse into each other so that it's hidden. So if I don't have my stitch marker, but so my snow globe will be hidden, and if I do the reverse, and see if the tree will fit. So that will fit. Because if you have too much stuffing, what's going to happen is your pieces aren't going to fit inside of each other properly. You're going to have bits sticking out of the bottom, which we don't want. If you think you need to add a little bit of extra stuffing, you can do that. But I think I'm good on the stuffing right now. So all we're going to do now is take our 2 end pieces and line them up. And whichever piece has your long tail on it, that's what you're going to use to sew them together. Just going to thread my needle. Oh, I really don't like this sparkly stuff. Goodbye, sparkles. Okay. I'm going to thread this tail end. And like I said before, we ended up with 42 stitches in each final round, and all we're going to do is sew the stitches together one to one. So I'll be sewing the stitch here, which, no, this way, stitch here to, where's my end? I want to use the end. Here we go. I'm going to sew the first stitch here to the first stitch here, and I'm going to sew the 2 stitches together. So I've gone into the stitch here of my snow globe, and just because I'm starting off, I'm going to go around these 2 stitches again. And then I'm just going to work my way around. So I'm going into the next stitch of the tree, and then I'm going into the next stitch of the snow globe. Sew them together, and 1 stitch down again. When the 2 pieces are sewn together, we need to weave in our tail end, and this is a little bit trickier than what we did before because we're going to have to do this by feel. So you're going to insert your needle into your piece, and then you're going to try and weave it through the backs of your stitches. But like I said, we can't really see the stitches, so you're going to need to do this by feel. So it might take a while, but just take your time and try and push your needle through the backs of the stitches. You'll be able to feel when it pierces the yarn. And I do this for probably double the amount of stitches I did when I weave the tail ends in through the inside of the piece, just because, again, I can't see it, so I can't be 100% certain it's going through all of the backs of the stitches. And then, when I've gone probably about a dozen or so stitches across, I'm going to weave my needle back up through the inside of the piece to where the join is, so where we've joined the 2 pieces together. I'm emerging from between the green of the tree and the red of the base, right there in the middle. And then all I'm going to do to finish off is loop back around. So I'm going to go across 1 stitch like this, and then out of the original stitch, and then pull that tight. And that was like the little loop-de-loop we did when we weaved our ends in on the inside. And I'm probably going to do that once more just so it's nice and secure. I'm going to weave my end back into the inside of the piece and then just push it out of the tree somewhere. It doesn't really matter where. And I'm going to snip that off and then tuck whatever's sticking out back inside. And with that, our piece is pretty much finished. So you can tuck the snow globe back up inside the tree, and if you leave the base of the snow globe sticking out, it's like a little bit of a tree skirt. You can see that there. And then you just turn it back the other way for the snow globe. though I think I prefer the tree side. So I'll leave it like this. And that is all I have for this video. Next week there should be another Christmas pattern out, probably another reversible one, but we'll see if I can get it done on time. But thank you for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed, consider doing so, and I will see you next week with a new pattern.